I do not keep it in my car. I occasionally take it out to take to the garbage, to the dumpster, because we have one garbage can, but I don't like to fill it with cat litter, so I take some garbage to the large dumpster down the street, down the block, about half a block. But what I do is I take it to the car, I put it in the trunk, and then I forget about it for a few weeks. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. What was I really going to do is try to talk about how I really feel about these people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's hard to talk about, so I don't think I'll be able to do it. I don't have a brother or a sister or a fucking cousin or a dad or mom or anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like what comedy is, like this family. It's like this terrible, terrible family that you never wanted or asked for, and then do do they do what a family's supposed to do? Stop you from being able to do what you want to do. Sarah's an amazing gal. Perfect. Perfect in every way. Yeah. She did a good job in your movie. Yeah. She did probably the best performance of anybody in it, I think. She actually said something funny, and then she actually talked about my actual comedy. I mean, you would think actually comedians would be interested in comedy, but that's actually a misconception. They're not really interested in comedy at all. That's the weird thing. It's really interesting because it's ultimately an honor. It's supposed to be an honor. You've found some way to ruin that somehow, which is, I guess, the point. You know what I mean? Also, after all I've been through in comedy, what's wrong with like an hour-long film about me getting my dick sucked? You know what I mean? Like, why is that so fucking bad? Jason is my ultimate influence in comedy, like the number one person who I've discussed jokes with the most, discussed our performances the most. So he's my number one influence in the performance of comedy since I started. But he's also the number one negative influence, because he doesn't believe in himself. As you know, I hate Robbie Schrader. It's this new thing I've been working on. It's a new project. You know what I mean? Like, I hate him like Hitler hates Jews. Like, that's how bad I hate Robbie Schrader. You know what I mean? But normally then I would hate anyone who likes Robbie Schrader. You know what I mean? Anyone who's like strong associated with, anyone who would be attracted or associated to him as a person, I would hate. Like you or somebody, or Jason, because that's like his best friend, But Jason, we are somehow friends. You know what I mean? Which is, it's just good. It's almost like people becoming friends, like of different races. You know what I mean? Like when a ghetto black guy and a rich white guy become friends. Those touching stories, where they become friends. So that's kind of like that, I'd like you to edit out all of Blake Kiltoff. When I met Blake, when I first met Blake, I remember right away I was like, this is someone I'd like to never get to know. You know what I mean? What a cunt. You know what I mean? What a big cunt he is. He knows he's a big cunt. No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He gave me that opportunity to do a feature set there. Sorry I let him down. I was real bad that night. It was just no good. You know what about Andy that I like? Andy has the makeup. In baseball or the football, they talk about, there's this thing in scouting, they call it makeup. So your makeup is so like you have skills, right? So like you go, like in comedy, skills would be like delivers a joke good, or you like writer, or a great performer, or good at acting out, or physicality, or anything you can name that's like a skill in comedy. The makeup is whether you have the mental breakdown of what it takes to actually succeed at it. So in sports, there's players who have all the skills, but they don't have the mental makeup, the like fortitude or whatever, the combination of mental qualities to make it to that level. You know what I mean? So I think Andy has it, and I kind of don't seem to have it. I don't believe I said this, but he said, it's possible, I have a bad memory, but he said when I first said him, I said, are you a Mexican? You know what I mean? And that was maybe kind of rude, but he was at a Mexican buffet at the time, you know what I mean? And also, every time I've seen Joe Gomez, he's always was just at a Mexican buffet, or he's on a way to a Mexican buffet, so that might have something to do with it. You know what's funny about Mike Parker? Ever since that incident that's in the movie, we've become closer as friends. You know what I mean? Like, I like him now, kind of like him now. He's more vulnerable, he'll hug me and stuff. He's like a soft little faggot, But on the movie, he's terrible. It's this giant head, and he's just being terrible and mean and lying. Lying about what happened to, Armani Jones. I thought we were going to be best friends, when we first met, That's what's sad about that movie is all these people, I thought I was going to be friends with them, but it just didn't work out because I just don't like comedians. He's a surprisingly thoughtful guy, We actually have a lot in common. I think he's like kind of crazy and paranoid, you know what I mean? A little bit paranoid, But hey, if they're really out to get you, are you paranoid, He liked my Nazi dog joke. He put a good performance for you. It's always good to have people in your movie who you barely know. Oh yeah, he kind of did the same fucking, oh my god, I can't handle it, I'm soft. It's pretty funny. At least he tries to do something about the scene, like the politics of the scene and the censorship and stuff. At least he cares about that. Sometimes I think he cares about it in a way that I don't quite agree with. In other words, I don't think it's about caring for people or people's feelings or anything like that. I think he mischaracterizes as that. You know what I mean? It's not because they're weak and soft. It's because they have a specific another group agenda. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you characterize it as racist, they go. The idea is that they're like, we can't handle hearing things we don't want to hear. No, it's not that they viciously can want to control what other people want. It's not about like being, nice or kind. But other than that, at least you care.
In June 2020, the one person no one expected to see again broke quarantine to produce the only comedy show in Seattle on the public stage in Volunteer Park. Many refused to attend, not for fear of the virus though. They were afraid of being associated with anyone who had been canceled. It was the first time live stand-up comedy had been performed in Seattle in 3 months because of political instability and an abundance of misinformation brought on by the arrival of the information singularity. To this day, no one can agree why the world shut down. Casey Judson was one of the first comedians to accept the invite. He and others gathered around the amphitheater once a week, regardless of the two fears, COVID protocols and the virus. It was a lively, charged, intense period.
Casey Judson is comedy in motion. His unique sense of perspective allows him to spin comedy from the ordinary to the extraordinary. No pressure, Casey.
I haven't been getting along that well with my girlfriend, so I'll like find things and find reasons to stay late, at the house I'm remodeling, We're like, I'm out here till 11 at night, and then finally I'll drive home, and I'll pull into my garage, and then I'll close the garage, and then I'll turn on some music, and I'll think about like dying for like 20 minutes, and then I realize you can actually die just from doing that, because you'll run out of air, Be careful, because if you do that, people will think you committed suicide, but they won't know you're just like really dumb and forgetful. Leave a note if you're going to do it. No, don't kill yourself. They made me say that. I have to say that. I can't recommend that you.
I don't really remember meeting Casey, but I do remember pissing him off for the first time. And I said, "You're not a real person, Casey." And he was like, "I'm not a real person?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're not real." And I'm just fucking with him, and he gets like personally offended. And then he forgave me like 4 days later, but he forgave me and I moved on.
He asked me if I was Mexican. That was like the first thing he said to me. I thought that was kind of odd. I asked him if he was homeless, and it was a friendship born out of that, I guess. I still don't know if he's homeless.
Met Casey at an open mic. He was special. He bombed so effortlessly. Just didn't give a fuck. I laughed my ass off.
JaiThai at the open mic, he was a spectator. I was back before he got better at comedy than me.
But there's more than just a few psychotics in the audience. It's an open mic for stand-up comedy in Seattle. So Casey Judson's here. You count for like 5 psychotics. So.
All the comedians are under the impression that Casey Judson is dead. Well, because I told them. Some were told Casey died drinking and driving. Others, kidney failure. And 1, suicide. 3 believed it. 1 was on the fence. And the rest saw straight through the lie.
Can you cut the camera real quick? I didn't know he was still alive.
Damn, dude, I didn't even know that, dude. That's crazy, man. I just saw him last night, dude. We were just hanging out last night, and he had a killer set too, man.
It sounded like exciting news at first, but then it was just like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know.
What'd you think of the way that he chose to kill himself?
You know, you always say you can't expect it, but I don't know. It just seemed to make sense. It was his style. I think it's what he would have wanted, obviously.
It was just a normal day. I was getting coffee, and you know, I just did the usual, like, opened up my laptop, and there it was. It's everywhere. Google News, Democracy Now, PornTube, everywhere. Casey Judson dead at 75. It's tragic. Obviously, I'm very upset.
Today I figured out when I'm gonna die. I went to Costco and I saw a 42 pack of chapstick. And I was like, I will not make it through the end of that chapstick. What'll happen is they'll be like, Casey, 49-year-old failed comic Casey passed away yesterday, but his lips were very, very moist. He had very supple lips, and he died of a drug overdose in his car. It's cool if I died in my car, they'd be like, oh man, that's fucking sad, look, he died. Oh shit, look, chapstick! Cherry!
Like, we would drink every fucking where. Like, Casey loves to fucking drink. To the point it fucking killed him.
He always said when you drink beer, you drive a car.
He always made me look good, so any person who makes me look good is a keeper.
Casey said he was gonna die, like, right when I met him. He said he might die. We had this interesting conversation about free speech and stuff like that, because that was when you remember when we got in trouble for his little comment at the whatever, and everybody got scared that he was gonna go on some rape spree.
Yeah.
This little 5'1", 80-pound dude. And I didn't even know. And I just noticed that Casey was like the only person that said anything like in his defense. So I made a point of going to his open mic the next week, and I don't know, like right off, we kind of hit it off because we were both about like just, you know, about people not telling you what you can and can't say. And I remember him saying something to the effect of like, he goes, plus like I might die soon, so I don't really give a fuck what anybody thinks, basically. And I think it might have been before they sawed his leg off. I don't know when that actually happened.
He like lifted up his pant leg to show me his metal ankle, like, you know, half a year after I met him. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, I don't like to tell people because I don't want to be like labeled as a disabled person. He doesn't want people to pity him. Casey wants to earn for his credentials. He wants to be like recognized. He wants to do his time and then be recognized for how brilliant he is or how disillusioned he is. You know, like me.
This comedian, and he was like, hey, you should talk about it more on stage, you know, maybe you'll get like sympathy.
You know? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't think I will. Yeah. Because I tried it one time, you know, and I was like, hey, my leg's made of metal, you know, there's like this long, uncomfortable pause, you know, like this one right here, you know? Yeah. And then after the pause, they were like, yeah, you suck. You know?
He's missing a leg? Oh my God, he's been lying to me about having two legs this whole time?
I had no idea that he was working with a fake leg.
Casey doesn't have a missing leg. You telling me Casey that whole time was walking on a peg leg? I did not hear about it. Casey never told me about his missing leg.
I noticed he was walking with a limp, and I like made some like off the cuff joke about it, and he took it like very seriously. And so I was made aware that that was just like a sensitive issue for him.
I didn't learn Casey was missing a leg until nearly 3 years of knowing him. I know there was something wrong with it, but he led me to believe his tibia was titanium and exposed at the shin. After a long day of moving furniture with him, he sat down on a folding chair at the front of a roaring fireplace, packed full of wood from a recently disemboweled piano. He turned a knob under his pants right near the knee, took off his leg, exposing a nub just below the knee. He flicked it at me like a finger and laughed.
First of all, like, he couldn't miss it because of the way he walked. But also, no, he posted something on Facebook. But the thing is that, like, it's not like he got his leg cut off and it was like, you know, like most people would be, you know, with selfies in the hospital and all this shit, right? It was like, at some point he just said, I got my leg sawed off a while ago. And like sort of mentioned it like in passing. You know what I mean? Like, and so, and it wasn't even like, hey, I got my leg sawed off. It was sort of like, fuck you and your problems. I got my leg sawed off.
I gotta be honest though, you know, ever since finding that out, I have been waiting for him just to be walking and then his leg to fall out from him.
Is that hard for you to walk in the ice, Casey?
Because I'm fucking disabled or whatever.
Because he's, yeah.
They're trying to imply it.
Yeah.
That's the implication.
No, it's like, it's fun at equal, like snow, ice is the great equalizer, really. Like, it's like then we all get to be Casey.
You know, you can take
in the
your
winter.
leg, if I can take my leg off and beat someone to death with it. You know?
You want me to remove my leg? I have a removable leg. Someday, when I'm in a pinch in a show, you know, I'm just gonna take it off. And just be like, yeah, what the fuck now? You know? You know, if you ever get your leg removed, and I don't recommend it. By the way, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend elective leg removal surgery.
I don't know what kind of hand he bet on, but you know, I'm sure that's what really cost his leg to be gone, dude. You would think it's diabetes, but it wasn't. It was definitely gambling for sure.
Oh, he gambled every time he went on stage.
You don't know if like they'll laugh or they'll shoot you in the back of the head. You know? I like higher stakes, you know, like even higher stakes than comedy. You know? That's what it's like to lift, you know, like you could die if you're not funny.
Here's the thing. He said he did it for a living for a while. And, you know, I've heard a handful of people in my life say that they either made their living gambling or they were just always talking about how much they won. They were always like, oh, I won this tonight, I won that tonight. And I was always like, well, why? You seem kind of broke for somebody who's fucking winning money all the time.
Some weird shit happens to you when you drive for Lyft. Like one time I was in Linwood and I picked up this guy like at like 2 a.m, you know, and he was real quiet and weird, you know. And then he didn't say anything. He just said, drive me to a grocery store, you know? And then I started driving him down these windy, dark roads. And the first thing he said was like, hey, are you scared to drive a guy down these windy, dark roads in the middle of the night? You know? And I was like, I don't know. Are you scared to get kicked the fuck out on these roads in the middle of the night?
I mean, even if you are winning all the time, but it's not that much, then why not? Why are you not betting bigger and making money?
Casey only gambled because he believed that Norm Macdonald's autobiography, based on a true story, was actually a true story. and that the only way he could achieve greatness comparable to Norm was to gamble like Norm.
Norm Macdonald, my favorite comedian, he says that when you try to entertain, you try to make a whole bunch of people laugh and they don't laugh, that's actually like funny. You know what I mean? So I guess I took that too much to heart. So I've been like trying to do that the whole time.
He sounds exactly like him.
It's not so much his voice, it's the cadence.
For me, it's his voice. At times I hear Norm's accent. However, what is more prominent is his Doug Stanhope. On the count of 3, close your eyes and just listen. You tell me, was that a clip of Doug Stanhope or Casey Judson?
I choked out my girlfriend and murdered her. Community leader. Here's our community leader.
If you're going to have anyone as a mentor, I guess you couldn't go wrong with Norm Macdonald. I could definitely see the stylings for sure, that's for sure. And plus, you know, but I mean, the only difference between, honestly, Norm Macdonald and Casey Judson is that, like, Norm Macdonald's funny.
With as many haters as Casey has, it's no wonder he's a big deal. What makes him shine out over his contemporaries is his dedication to his own brand of comedy and his message that applies to all if they are willing to think in regards of time. Look out, life happens. One day we will all be bitter old people with health problems, missing limbs, chronic addictions, and scars, both physical and mental. We too will be looked down upon by the 20-somethings in comedy clubs who can't understand our sage advice.
I don't think so. I don't think he's a big deal. I don't know. He might have a big dick, but I mean, that's what I thought he was walking on this whole time, dude. I was like, dude, this guy has one leg and one dick and he walks perfectly. It's amazing.
He doesn't take any shit from anybody, and he stands up for himself, and then he gets in trouble, and then, you know, he's basically the Joan of Arc of Seattle comedy.
So I was on a comedy contest last night and I won, so it's pretty much from here on out. I don't even have to try, really, you know?
I don't know if you want to call him a big deal. He was big.
Yeah, my friend asked me, he said, hey, are you going to do any Bill Cosby jokes? And I was like, am I going to do any Bill Cosby jokes? Of course. Nothing gets a crowd fired up like, let's hear about that guy, right? You know? Just like nothing gets Bill Cosby fired up more than a sleeping lady. You know? He loves a sleeping lady. You know? Whenever he uses the, you know, whatever the pills or whatever, because you rarely find a sleeping lady, you know? Yeah. Anyway, I denounce Bill Cosby. I'm one of those comics, you know, I'm not one of those guys who supports, you know, rapists. I'm one of the courageous ones who denounces rape.
Obviously, it's his writing. I mean, his comedy is what's setting him apart from the rest of the field. I mean, it's amazing to me how Netflix is not knocking on this guy's door already. What are you doing, Netflix? I mean, this is Casey Judson we're talking about. I mean, probably the biggest comedian in all of Seattle, and maybe even the country. I'm not even sure, but I don't know how he did it. I wish he would hang out with me so I can learn.
He has like kind of this like cultish like personality where he just like has a very big personality that a lot of people resonate with and respond to, and that comes across in his comedy. And I think it just like it's a very it's a big deal. Yeah, it's sensational. Like it's a very like dynamic and fun experience for all who are involved.
Hey, you know what the worst part of serial killer is? It's besides the murder part. Set that aside. The worst part is that when they're done murdering, they go in like a 7-Eleven and they get like a Snapple, you know, and a pack of American Spirit Blues, you know. Like a hot dog or whatever. And then they go up to the cashier and they're like, how are you tonight? You know? Just getting a Snapple and a pack of cigarettes. Nothing to see here. I know too much about it. I'm not a serial killer, goddammit.
He's no like Ted Bundy. I feel like no one wants him to be close enough to them for him to kill somebody. But I think he's kind of like If he had the opportunity, he'd be a serial killer.
Sarah thinks I'm a serial killer. She's told me a few times she thinks I'm a serial killer. But I think that says more about Sarah. Because she still keeps talking to me.
That volunteer park, and like Casey just starts going like, I'm gonna murder all these people, and he just like starts like venting about his like murdering spree.
It's usually bad to be ignored when you do comedy, but the one time when it's not bad to be ignored is when your punchline is, so anyways, I end up killing a guy. You know? I did that last week. I confessed to a bunch of murders, you know? And then a whole week went by, no police at my door. You know? Yeah. Bombing paid off.
If he was a serial killer, then he clearly got away with all those crimes.
This comment came up, he was just before me, and he was like, I gotta hand it to you white dudes, man. You guys get really excited and your eyes light up when you guys talk about serial killers. Yeah. And actually I was like, hey man, that's fucking bullshit, man. You know, I was pretty mad, you know, because I was like, hey, he's talking about me.
You know the expression, serial killer clean. Casey couldn't be no serial killer. His car is way too messy. The floor and seats is all covered in soda bottles and cans. The trunk is full of dirty cat litter and sound equipment. That being said, every time I see a missing person poster in Seattle, my first thought is, where was Casey Judson on that day?
Never convicted on no murder. There's this great line from Carlito's Way. He's like, dope peddler. No, he goes, murderer, felon, dope peddler. And then Al Pacino stands up and goes, never convicted on no dope. He doesn't even deny the other. Never, Your Honor, never convicted on no dope. No, I've never murdered anyone in my life.
Casey's a Madonna, and when things don't go his way, he gets butthurt. When Casey gets butthurt, that's when he shines his brightest.
So what? We all get butthurt. We all get butthurt. But he was a little bit more emotional than this. So okay, whatever. But that was the character of Casey.
Casey getting pissed off, like his face twitching, you know, and then you're like, I can't talk to you because you're gonna like probably resort to violence, you know, pull a gun on me or some shit, or like fucking elbow me, or take off his fake leg and fucking beat me to death with it. I'm like, is that what you want? Is this gonna release your anger and you like get over whatever I said? You know, it would even be me. I could just bring up a topic and he's like, I'm upset at this. I gotta go smoke in my car, listen to Kanye. You know. Anyways.
He's got that facial twitch.
A little small like jitter going on with like the side of his mouth.
And he does this a lot. He gets excited.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
He's like an animated character, like a cartoon character.
He'll sit on the curb. Everybody's on the inside. He's introverting it outside. He definitely enjoys having unpopular opinions, and he definitely enjoys saying them out loud. And sometimes it seems like you can almost tell that he knows how poorly received it's going to be, and he likes that anyways.
Being unapologetic about what you think, but also having an air of self-deprecation.
Yes, Donald Trump, renowned chemist. He actually was the guy who created the virus. I don't know if you know that. That's actually true. He was in a Nazi lab in China when he created the virus with his bare hands. So he's an idiot, moron. He was not intelligent, but he's smart enough to create a virus. Interesting. So he's either a diabolical mastermind or a complete moron, depending on what you want to assert about him. It's interesting. You just throw whatever you want at him. It's cool. I mean, he's a blanket. I like it because I have things I want to blame on people, so I'm glad to have him around. You know, anytime anything goes wrong, you know, like I could blame him for the dissolving of my personal relationship with my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like everything was perfect until that goddamn Trump, you know.
I like to just take, if someone says it's like a bad thing, take credit for it. Don't deny it, you know, just take full credit. Just own your image, basically.
He goes off the handle, but his going off the handle is damn near funnier than him bombing. So it's like, is this a play? Is this opera? I don't know, but it works for me.
He was selling children, right? Hey, you know, sometimes you're working on new jokes. You know? Stop it! The sex trafficking jokes. What? Don't know.
At first, I thought it was almost like a planned thing. And then I think later I found out that Casey was actually mad.
I brought this piece of equipment and set it up on stage because I was going up after Casey, and I was kind of warming up, and I found some parts where I could be like,
Patience is appreciated. We'll be with you as soon as possible.
Oh, Jesus. What a heckle. I like an extra humiliation. It's cool.
To Robbie's credit, that soundbite was spot on. I wish I could push a button every time a comic pulls out their phone on stage, play that soundbite. Fucking embarrassing.
Your patience is appreciated.
Fuck you, Siri. Or whatever your name is. Is that same lady? Is that same lady from before?
he didn't really vibe with it, and I didn't ask permission, but it was like an extension of my art.
And the major candidates are Wilson! Yes, you're right. The Libertarian Party.
Keep it going for him. And we're gonna give it up for heavy breathing, aka Robbie Schrader. You need this mic?
Fucking said. Yeah, you know I'm in. Fuck you. Like that.
But I'm
fuck you.
Very fortunate that I found
What the fuck are you doing? Fuck you.
Do this week. I think that I'm trying to.
Fuck you. Fuck your fucking shit. Fuck you. Fuck your music. Fuck you.
I already have a friend.
Suck my fucking dick. Fuck you.
Yes, he has the light already.
You might already have a firm opinion about it all, too. But I'd like to ask you to clear away for a moment what you know or think you know about this thing that's happened, and consider it with me anew. What do we think of this $150,000 banana?
He said he understood, but I could see in his eyes that he didn't. He was lying to me.
In the Robbie Schrader case, Casey's clearly in the right of way. However, in Mike Parker's case, Casey is at fault as he was trying to take away Mike's right to free speech. Mike did what anyone should do in that situation: stand up against tyranny. As Harvey Dent once said, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
So when didn't want to do the show at the park, I said, oh, I'll do it, you know, and I had all this equipment, but I mean, it was a ton of equipment. And I mean, I even had a wagon to bring it up. And so Casey has this little Bose portable speaker that does better than anyone has anything. So he had that, and I was like, why don't we just use yours? And then that would just make life easier. And then when I did that, and so the next week, it became like, I'm Casey, I'm the producer, and this is, you know, we're using my equipment, and now this is how we're doing things.
They both had very different ideas of what was going on there. It was kind of a power struggle and mixed in with a misunderstanding.
It was so crazy. That was like the worst meltdown I've ever seen in comedy history. And I think you have it on camera, correct? Yeah, that was like, cut to that part right there.
Yeah, Casey looks like a Value Village Joe Paterno. I don't know. That dude looked like he goes to high school baseball games and sits in the bleachers just to take unofficial score. I don't know. Like, he doesn't even know anybody from any team. That's it. Don't worry. I don't need I don't need any of that volume. Don't worry.
Come on, Casey.
Yeah, Casey, don't worry, man. Don't let this comedy go to your head, buddy. All right? We're doing an open mic in an open park. That's right. If I come at 4:30, I'll be the producer. Relax, everybody. Give it up for Casey for allowing himself just to have sun time tonight. That's great. All right.
Casey, turn the mic.
Yeah, let's go, Casey. Quit playing around, man. Just have some fun, bro.
So after I roasted him, every time I went to talk, he would turn down the volume, you know, and it was funny for the first like 2 or 3 times, but then, you know, he just kept doing it and kept doing it.
I am. I'm saying everything, man. You ever been roasted before, man? Aren't you in a roast? Aren't you in a roast, Robbie? Come on. Are you roasting him? I hope not. Just don't punch me in the face like fucking. All right, give me a break, man.
Casey, turn up.
Casey, turn it up, man. Quit playing around, dude. God damn, take a fucking joke.
I'll be damned if I'm gonna have Casey Judson heckle me while I'm on stage. That's what my mentality was. Like, you didn't even ask me, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I saw the way he was kind of doing it, and he was stepping on people's punchlines, and you know, so it just really wasn't a good thing, and so. I took his microphone from him, so he couldn't do that. And so I basically had 2 microphones in my hand.
You need to be able to take it when people talk shit, all right? That's part of this. But it was Casey's equipment, and Mike was physically, you know, handling Casey's equipment against his will.
I don't really care, dude. Everything was cool until you started talking shit.
I think it's fine. I think it was fine.
I know you think it's fine, but I don't think it's fine, so that's all good. And I'm not even mad. He's way madder than I am.
Well, because you were cutting him off.
I know, that's right. I'll cut anybody off who does that shit. I don't fucking care.
I think it's a
more people who like it, less I like it. I don't fucking give a shit.
All right. That shit was fucking crazy, right? Yeah, that's fucking Casey.
That's a good example of seeing Casey get butthurt.
The Mike Parking incident was the last show to take place at the Volunteer Park Amphitheater. The incident left an awkward haze in the air that wasn't caused by the weather getting colder and wetter or somebody farting. The city of Seattle found out that Casey Judson had performed at the Volunteer Park Amphitheater, so the city condemned and demolished the stage. The show needed shelter. Found shelter for it 34 days later in a parking garage on Capitol Hill.
All right, I wrote some jokes here. Actually, I only came to this mic because I was really lonely and I hadn't had any friends. Actually, I had a 10-minute conversation with a bot. You know what a bot is? So you're like on the internet and there was some lady on Facebook, and it was funny because it wasn't like it took me 10 minutes to realize it was a bot. I realized after like 30 seconds, but I just kept talking anyways.
Casey has a hard time accepting a roast from someone he doesn't know very well. He can only handle a roast that comes from a close friend. Case in point, Jason McBride.
Casey thought that Borat was a real person.
Borat is real.
Like he was like, right? Casey was like, this Sacha Baron, he's a horrible person.
You know, Casey, you know your problem is you're not retarded enough. You need to be more special ed to do this job. You just need to get. You're in that. You're in that sour spot.
Casey and I are close enough that I could roast him if I wanted to without jeopardizing our friendship. I don't because I'm not into roasting people. Well, unless of course you count this film.
Hey, this would be a great time to go to the bathroom.
Guys enjoying your pizza?
Yeah, it is way better than your comedy.
Sick burn. I know.
I'm just playing, it's not.
No, you're right. It's actually, you're wrong. My comedy has ruined the taste of the pizza.
They say that he's racist.
There was this guy earlier who sat down next to me. He's a black guy, he had a mask on. You know, that doesn't matter for the story, but I was scared of him. And he was like, yo man, I like your speaker, dog. And I was like, oh, he's gonna stab me and rob me for my speaker. But anyway, he asked me if he could be on the show, and I said, yeah. So, you know, out of fear, I decided he's gonna be on the show later if he shows up.
Oh yeah. He might not see it that way, but it's not, you cannot, if you're a bigot, you can't, most bigots don't say, hey, I'm a bigot. Usually the people they offend call that person a bigot. And he's not the worst. Like I said, it's a spectrum. He's in there though.
When Casey gets called a bigot, it means something else, like doublespeak. What bigot means now is anyone that stands up against cancel culture with critical thinking.
Casey will never stop being a bigot, no matter what. No matter what. You put a gun to his head, he'll still be a bigot.
What kind of card can I play? I'm just gonna play the Nazi card. You know, just say, yeah, I'm everything you say, whatever.
We went to Chinese food one time, not too long ago actually. After a mic, it was me and him and Robbie and Jason, and we started having a conversation that made its way around to this this term microaggressions. And I was just kind of talking about some of the absurdities of that, you know, like I don't know. There's this whole thing on NPR about, you know, the Asian hate was this big hot button topic for a while, and so they did this whole thing about microaggressions and how hurtful it was that these white people were telling these Japanese or Chinese or, you know, whatever Asian people. See, I get all tripped up talking about that shit because I'm like, oh, do I have to say Korean and who's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, just talking about this, even when I'm trying to be honest, it's like, Jesus, you get so, and that's what I'm saying, like, that's not a problem for Casey or it's less a problem for him than most people, right? Anyways, we were sitting around talking about this whole thing about microaggressions, and there was these like Asian people who'd be like so insulted because you'd say your English is so good. You know, you speak very good English, right? And there's this fucking problem for these fucking people. And at this point, I think Robbie spoke up. I probably shouldn't be naming names, but he was like, hey, maybe we should like adjust. You know, if we're in a Chinese restaurant, maybe a little change of subject or something. And I was like, yeah, I get you. You know what I mean? And I did get him. But I also felt the same way Casey felt, which he was like, you know what? Everybody else in this entire restaurant is talking about exactly what they want to. So that's what we're gonna do. It wasn't absolutely necessary, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of cool and like amusing. And, you know, like you don't have a problem with swearing, but you still try not to swear in front of your mom. You know what I mean? It was that kind of thing where I was like, yeah, you can say whatever you want, but you know, we are in a giant room packed with Asian people. I mean, I don't mind putting a cork on it till later. We can talk about a lot of other things, you know. But Casey's like, no, everybody in here is talking about whatever they want. We get to do that too.
I'm a white male. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, white male, you know? That's not good. Alright? That's a bad thing to be. You don't want to be that. But here's the thing, I'm proud of it. You know? But not too proud of it. You know? You can't really be proud, you know? So I'm more like kind of like, so you can be proud, but I'm not ashamed. You know, it's not my fault, you know? But so I'm indifferent to it. Can I be indifferent to it?
Do you have like a crematorium where you just burn, like you just buy a steak from Safeway and you put it in there and be like, if only it was a Jew. If only, that was a Jew.
I just killed Jews. I don't fuck around. I know I live practice on a steak. I'm not wasting a steak.
If you think about bigots all the time, of course you're going to see everything as racist. Jack Grape says he can learn everything he needs to know about a person just by looking inside their refrigerator or medicine cabinet. Now, there are algorithms for that and other indicators. YouTube knows what videos you like. If you want to know what's going on inside a person's mind, look at their YouTube homepage. How many videos related to race or police brutality are on your YouTube homepage? Are all the content creators of the same race? Would you be worried to submit a screenshot with a job application?
Bruce, man, give it up for Bruce in the online comedy club. He's been posting his videos all over, and he put one of them on the infamous Reddit, and he got a reply message from someone from where we used to perform at JaiThai Broadway, and they said, Let's see what it says here. I wrote it down just so I don't want to get their words wrong. They said, a lot of the videos you're posting of the comics are sloppy and subpar. That's like, sloppy and subpar. Some of them are pretty good, but most of them are racist, and they seem like they're on drugs. Yeah, Jason. And then Bruce asked me, he goes, hey, does that make you upset? And I was like, no, you heard the bitch. She said I was pretty good.
What do woke comedians think of Casey Judson?
He hurts my feelings. He makes me uncomfortable. I'm not sure if I agree with that joke. Let's take Casey out back and lecture him for 20 minutes about how he's politically incorrect. And if that doesn't work, then we'll cancel him with our little Twitter hashtags.
It's a mixture of fear and admiration, and also like, hey, that guy has cigarettes.
Tasteless, but so goddamn committed that you gotta love it.
Wokesters don't even listen to what people are saying half the time. They hear one trigger word and then immediately they just go on this tirade or rant that someone's this, that, or another.
Everybody's a bunch of backbiting bitches.
I think they just hate him because that's it. They just hate him because he's old and he doesn't wear like the clothes that they like.
Being at an open mic with all comics is like going to a job interview, and then the person who comes to interview is just another person applying for the job. They're like, why do you want this job? You fucking suck, man. You can't do this job. Also, you're a terrible person also. Are you gonna come to my show?
I dislike the idea of the comedian as the upstanding citizen. You know what I mean? The upstanding, upright, good guy of the, you know what I mean? The idea that a comedian, everyone's kind of like trying to be the, like takes food to the homeless, and Chris, what is his name? They're just all, they're so decent, and then they have the right view. They know that like men are bad and women are good, and they're on the right side. That's being on the right side of things is not comedy. You know what I mean? Comedians are like kind of like bad, kind of, they're like, they're questionable. You know what I mean? All the ones I like anyways, right?
I was up in Everett recently, and Blake Kiltoff was like mentioning to some other comic, like, why did I ever book Casey? That was a mistake.
I was embarrassed that I had booked Casey. Again, not because he was so bad, but as a producer, to be in a community of other people who know somebody is, and to be seen to just book them for a feature spot, and then afterward to find out, oh, I just did something that was very stupid. And like anyone who knows Casey knows he's been doing comedy for 3 months. I didn't know that, and so it's embarrassing. And so I told that story to a few people because it was a little egg on my face. And so I'm chatting with other people I know, that's probably something I would have said. Like, oh, I learned from that experience as a producer to make sure I do my research.
I started doing the Tinder thing myself. Tinder's kind of cool because you can get up early in the morning at like 8 a.m., and you can like look at pictures of women, their profiles, and you can like pretend you're rejecting them. You can be like, oh yeah, you're really gorgeous, you're beautiful. Yeah, not for me. You're somebody else's problem now, Sweet. But anyway, I met one that I liked, this lady. She had a profile, and we matched, and her profile was one sentence. It was, I'm looking for a great guy, under 5'11", need not apply, namaste. I just said namaste, even though I don't know what it means. But then I looked up namaste. You guys know what namaste means? Anyway, it means like, I see God inside of your soul, and then I look at you, and then I bow to your soul. Unless you're under 5'11", then you can go fuck yourself. All right, I had a good time. Thanks for coming out.
First time in feature headlining, huh? 15 minutes at an open mic, you're gonna call that headlining. That's something. Great stuff, Casey.
But I wouldn't say I disliked Casey. I just was taken aback by how amateurish I thought the whole performance was. And I found out after I had booked him that he was much more inexperienced at comedy than I thought. And what I had observed a lot from him on stage, which I would call poise and self-confidence, I took to be a reflection of many years of experience. So when I booked him, I was booking him on his moxie. I hadn't really watched his set. I had only talked to him a few times after open mics, and I had been impressed by moxie and a few good jokes here and there. And so I just expected, you know, as the guy I thought was clearly a feature-level comic, he would come do a feature-level set. And it turned out, you know, oh, he's only been doing open mics for 3 months, and the set demonstrated that to me. He had people in the audience who knew him and were friends of his, and so yes, they were very enthusiastic.
Bringing people to a show is totally unacceptable behavior from a stand-up comedian. Packing the house with paying customers? Disgusting. I've never known of a producer of an open mic to require a performer to bring at least 3 friends to get a spot. I did meet a man there that night that only knew Casey through Facebook. He traveled there all the way from Aberdeen, Washington to Tony V's garage to see Casey's feature set. That's 137 miles of nothing to look at. Speed limit so low there's smack of entrapment. And bumper to bumper Tacoma traffic. That's the draw that Casey Judson has.
Yeah, you know how you can tell when you don't really love yourself enough? It's when your best friend is the drive-thru guy at McDonald's. So I'm doing this show on Monday, and I like tried to get like all of my old friends to come, and like most of them are like, no, I don't want to do that. And then anyway, Mike at the McDonald's said he'll come.
I had a really good joke that I was telling in my dreams, you know, and I woke up and I told my girlfriend, I was like, oh shit, I just had this great joke, and I gotta write it down before I forget it. And she was like, cool. Anyway, can you clean the cow boxes, you know? And then I was like, yeah, I'll clean the cow boxes. And then anyway, we started talking, and then I forgot to write the joke down. But, you know, it was probably good. So, you know? Right?
It doesn't make any sense. If God exists, why does Casey?
Well, I think you answered your own question. It's a trick question. There's obviously no God.
God has a sense of humor, I think, you know.
My friend's trying to get me to join his church for like 3 weeks. Like all the time sending me messages, like videos from Kirk Cameron talking about God. The guy from Growing Pains. You know, anyway, he's into God. But anyway, I was like, I don't want to do that. And then after 3 weeks, he stopped, you know. Then I went down to get the meds, and I was like, hey, how come you were trying to get me to join a church for like 3 weeks? Then he stopped, you know, right? You know, he was like, oh, I just gave up. You didn't seem very interested. I go, yeah, but I'm going to hell. You know? I'm going to the fiery pits of hell. We've been friends for 30 years. He was like, fuck up, you know? Yeah. Hey, I asked him a couple times. Oh, what can I do? He's going to go burn in hell.
Everyone has a purpose. Divine leader, I do believe in God. Divine creator creates people. You need to see a spectrum of quality and things amongst life. So, you know, I think people always question God, like, oh, if he existed, why is there bad? So you can know what good is. You need to have comparison. And so, like I said, everyone has a purpose. Divine creator creates everyone to have a purpose. So Casey serves a purpose.
God wanted to experience what it was like to be Casey. Just like he wants to experience what it's like to be me and what it's like to be you. You know, he's a part of all of us, and that's why there's all of us. It's this endless smorgasbord of experiences, of life experiences that God is all experiencing through us. So, and I bet Casey's one of his favorites.
Obviously, Casey is God, and I think we should start ritualizing this in a weekly ceremony where we go to a tent and have worship and like light everything with like pretty Christmas lights. And I'll take the stage and deliver a sermon about counterculture and its exigencies. And I think we should put Casey front and center into this this place of worship. And I guess we've already done that.
God creates all types of people, including people like Casey and people like Juggalo Jake.
You know, I ask God that every day, you know. I sit there and I have this altar and I have a picture of Casey with this big red X through it. I have a Casey voodoo doll. I'm not sure, it is missing a leg too. It's very authentic. But yeah, I don't know, I just don't, I think God is a mean bully, and I think he torments his people by putting Casey Judson on this earth. And yeah, I mean, you know, God does say that the demons will be walking amongst you, and obviously Casey Judson is a demon. Yeah, that's exactly it.
If you eat 5 dry grams of golden peaches straight and your mind is strong, look to the sky and ask, if you exist, then why does Casey Judson? God will ask you, do you still not know life is a dream?
It's kind of a loaded worldview for one thing. Like, what do you mean by God? Like, when I talk about God, I usually mean like all of existence, you know, with the manifestation of sentience on top as like the cream of the crop. But ultimately, there's not like a personable God who's interested in us. There's no mind behind the universe. We are the mind of the universe. So to ask why Casey exists if everything else exists is a tautology, really. Like, we all exist. What do you mean? So what do you...
your definition of God?
Because everything exists. Using my definition of God, the reason Casey exists is because Casey exists. Existence is... There's no other half to that. Existence is. That's what it is. And Casey's part of it.
Casey suffocates in the Pacific Northwest, but I think he could really flourish in the Midwest if, in Middle America, if he could tolerate them.
We're gonna go a tour on the nation in the like 4 areas where you can do comedy, you know? And she said, aren't you scared, you know? You know, like scared of like having violence committed on me. And I was like, no, I'm going to South Dakota. I'm afraid of like, that I'll join a militia, you know? And it's not that I'm angry and want to join a militia, I'm just very impressionable, you know? Yeah, so I might join a militia.
Casey does okay around here. He has a lot of confidence, but I feel like his material really caters towards a less progressive audience. Somebody that just could get behind him.
Well, yeah, he's gotten a lot better. I mean, like, usually that's how it works.
I can't be sure, but I think Casey Judson's a good person. What I'm sure of is he's a champion of free speech. Each time he hobbles up on stage, he stands up for the free speech of succeeding generations. I can't understand why wokesters hate free speech. I get that they might have felt bullied for some period of their life, but acting like a Wu Mao is never the answer.
It's a tough time now for rhetoric, you know, like things you can say, you know, and things you can't say, you know. So you gotta really watch what you say. Like right now, you know, I'm really worried, you know. Hope I don't say the wrong thing, you know. But anyway, yeah, you can't say like all lives matter, you know, because that would be bad. I'm saying it now, but I'm just saying you can't say it, you know. But you can't say all lives don't matter either, you know. So it's kind of confusing. I personally think that every single life matters, you know? But they really don't, though.
Casey's life matters!
You know, he's doing like, I think what we all want to do, which is to say what we really want to say and also be funny at the same time.
Well, like I said, brave. A lot of people want to be edgy, and they don't have critical thought backing it up. And Casey always seemed to have like a willingness to continue pushing against ideas as a critical thinker in a way that was really unpopular with other people. I heard people bad-mouthing him a lot, and I saw people at open mics not reacting well to his jokes, and he never seemed to be fazed by that. And standing outside talking about the show, talking about the scene and stuff, he seemed to have his head very squarely on his shoulders. That's why the most surprising thing about this conversation to me is that he was drinking and driving to a point where he was, there he died. I honestly didn't think of him as a big party animal or anything.
I think all people are inherently good, but Casey is inherently evil.
The other day I was on a freeway and there was a car accident, you know, and they let us go by and I looked and I saw the cars, how mashed up they were, and I go, hey, somebody probably died, you know? And I think that like everybody, when someone dies on the highway, should just like stop and get out of their car and like go over there and like care, you know? You know? Like we should all talk about how much we care, you know? But what they do is they like clear it out of the way so I can get to Chipotle. You know? Because Chipotle closes at 7 and my girlfriend really likes Chipotle. And if I don't get her Chipotle, there'll be like another death. You know?
Misunderstood, but good.
The other day I was driving home and I saw somebody laying out on the sidewalk, you know, on Aurora Avenue. And I thought maybe like thousands of cars have gone by and been like, well, she's probably all right, you know. But I decided to go back and check and see if she was dead or not, you know. So I drove back and it's like by a Jack in the Box, and so I pulled in and I walked over to the girl and she's looked pretty bad, you know. And then I just was like, hey, are you okay, you know? You know, and she was like asleep, you know, and I woke her up and she was like, she looked really bad and she was like, yeah, my boyfriend left me out here overnight in the parking lot and then I couldn't find my car keys or my car, so I had to sleep overnight in the, you know, in the parking lot. And there's the punchline. Her life's unfortunate. No, that's not the punchline. But it would be cool if it was. But anyway, I was like concerned, you know, I wasn't laughing like you guys because I'm not evil, you know. And so I was like, are you all right? Do you need like to get something to eat or like maybe come back to my house and take a shower or something? You know, because I'm a nice guy. I always invite strange girls to my house to take a shower. You know? And she looked at me and she kind of smiled and she was like, no, I think I'll go back to the parking lot. Yeah. So anyway, I think she likes me. She likes me. There's something there. There's definitely something there.
Well, he's definitely a person. That I can say for sure.
I always thought that I should work for the suicide hotline, you know, because I've been through a lot of sadness in my life, so I feel like I would change the way the person looks at sadness. I talked to my dad today. It's been the first time in 2 years. I asked him why he stopped talking to me for 2 years, and he said my mom sent him a letter. And then he was like, yeah, I can't talk to you because when I see you, it makes me think of your mom, and I hate your mom. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2, you know? So I was like, why did you leave me with her? So I might cheer them up, or I might make them kill themselves much faster. You know? Because if you call the suicide hotline, like, you know, they'll be like, hey, you know, I feel like the whole world's against me, you know? Like everybody's out to get me, you know? And I'm like, hey man, the world's not out to get you. Like, the world does not give a shit about you. Where everyone is just numbers. We're all numbers. We're just a series of numbers.
He does stand up for people that are getting kind of picked on, I believe, by the wokesters per se.
Yeah, I called her a bitch. Yeah, because if you call a bunch of friends of mine racist, I'm going to call you what the fuck I want. So I hope you see this video, bitch. Fuck you. In comedy, I've been doing it like, I think almost 4 years. And there's, among many disappointments, the newest disappointment is finding out that Juggalo Jake is a fucking liberal. Get the fuck out of here. The one guy I thought would be like an ally or whatever they call it. A fucking ally. I hate that word anyway. So they treated the fucking liberals in comedy, treated Jake like shit for like 5 years. And he's like, I'm one of you. I'm on your team.
Alabama passed these laws where they were going to throw women in prison for having abortions. And I got on stage and I went something like, "Sweet home Alabama, da, 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 da. Keep that baby inside that room," shit like that, you know. And this woman got on stage and she started like angrily ranting about like racists and white supremacists. She wasn't even like trying to be funny, or she wasn't like even trying to crack jokes.
Those abortion jokes, you want to know why they're getting abortions? Do you want to know why they're getting abortions? Because they're getting raped, and you're making fun of those women who are getting assaulted, you selfish pig!
I just fucking like sunk my head down and was just like, Casey got on stage and he said, "I don't care who you are, you don't have the right to twist someone's words around and make it out like they were talking about something else when they were not."
Juggalo Jake asked me to give him relationship advice. And I was like, yeah, you might not want to do that. You might want to reconsider, but okay. And he told me he met this lady and they were dating for like 3 weeks, and then she just wanted to be friends, you know? And then she started sending him pictures of a guy she met on like a dating app, you know? Like Tinder or whatever. And then he was getting really fucking mad, you know? And then he wouldn't want to upset her, so he didn't tell her, so he's just staying in his apartment and being mad. And I was like, "Yeah, I got just the thing to say to her. It's gonna fix the whole thing." The next pictures he sends you, just go, "Hey, that guy Jeff there, he looks like a really nice guy. But why are you trying to get him killed? You know? And yourself." Don't ever fucking send me pictures like that ever again. You know? They just look for that. Don't ever send me pictures like that. As long as you live, do you fucking understand me? And then he was like, "That sounds really angry. Is that gonna work?" And I was like, "No, I mean, she'll probably never talk to you again. That's usually what happens, but it's better than what you're doing." You know what I mean? You know, you don't have to deal with this shit anymore, you know?
We're just a bunch of misfits that became a kind of a family, you know, forced into being like a family due to the pandemic, because we all love this art and want to practice this art.
Hey, my friend, I shouldn't say his name. I wasn't going to say his name, but he's not here, so fuck him, you know? You know, he's got autism or whatever. Anyway, but he's always like getting mad at me, like screaming at me for like a fucking hour or whatever, because I won't do some fucking thing he wants, you know? And then the next day he'll apologize, you know? And he'll be like, "I can't help it, I have autism." And I'll be like, "Well, I don't know why autism would stop you from using fucking duct tape. You know, just use duct tape like any other person, you know? Or I'll do it for you next time." You know what I mean? It's hard to have sympathy for people with autism because it mimics the actual symptoms of just run-of-the-mill narcissism. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to care, but you're being a fucking asshole, so.
I'm sure you have a running list of things you hate about Casey Judson. I'm curious, what's on your list?
The smell of his car?
When he's happy.
He's too stupid not to have to get into arguments.
Too stupid for sure. I don't know about keeping his mouth shut, but yeah. No, I don't think he's too stupid. I think he's actually pretty smart, and you know, and again, you can't fault somebody who stands up for what they believe in and is not afraid to share their opinion. But yeah, I wish he would shut the fuck up more. That's for sure. I mean, I think a lot of us would, but you can't fault the person who won't.
I heard he hates cats, but that can't be true because I also heard a rumor that he keeps a bunch of dirty cat litter in his trunk of his car.
My dad said to me that opinions are like assholes. You know, and apparently on Facebook, everybody has 6 assholes, which is really weird. You know, so that makes for a lot of shit. You know, if you have 6 assholes. Yeah, there you go, exactly.
I've seen the Facebook situation with another female comedian that I'm not going to name that shouldn't ever went down. He doesn't know how to be cool, especially he doesn't know how to be cool online. So I don't know why old white men have fucking Facebooks anyway, besides fucking be racist or just throw their fucking nose in some shit they don't need to be throwing their shit in. But Casey is one of the motherfuckers, he ain't give a fuck. He likes to go ahead and give his opinion no matter how far-fetched or how crazy it sounded to another person. And he always came from a good place. You know, this asshole. But you gotta know where
You gotta know where the people that are really trying to be assholes and the people are that just assholes by nature because they're ignorant to other people's plights.
Like, I don't understand how he does it. It's crazy. Like, I just don't find time. This guy will literally write 7-page paragraph responses to people. And I'm just like, okay, you know, like that's my response.
There's a lot of drama in the Facebook scene, in the comedy scene here on Facebook in particular. It spills out in the real world, but the drama's mostly on Facebook. And Casey was behind a lot of that drama. And I was always impressed by how humanitarian his approach was. I kind of thought, not in terms of like caliber, but in terms of philosophy, I always thought of him as a bit of a Kurt Vonnegut character in the scene. Like he had a very critical eye toward a lot of social issues, and it was often adversarial, but he didn't mean it adversarially. I always took it as like a sort of Socratic spirit of inquiry, and I was honestly always kind of fond of reading some of the shit-talking that he was doing. Like, I think people would call it shit-talking, but to me it looked like a sort of Socratic dialogue where both people involved were talking about something pretty asinine. And I don't have a serious specific anecdote. I always liked watching the way Casey engaged with the community as a philosophical adversary. Not in a villainous sense, but just in the sense of like he was willing to take the licks of being unpopular for the sake of saying what he really thought. A lot of comedians, a lot of people don't really say what they think, and Casey did. Yeah, I was impressed by that.
Yeah, that was real nice of you to say that I've been active on social media. I've been so active on social media that I haven't left social media until just now. You know? Yeah, so I've just been only on social media. I don't know if you noticed, but if you're on social media, it makes you kind of scared. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of looking around, you know, kind of thinking there's like spies in the bushes and stuff.
If you get like one person to care about you at all, you're like pretty lucky, you know? If you don't even one. You know, usually if we get one person who cares about us, we're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you caring about a lost cause?
Many of Casey's haters asked me similar questions, as if I was the only person that cared about Casey. There are more people that care about Casey Judson than show up to his haters' shows. There's a truth in his material that I relate to that motivates me to excuse myself from the smoke circle, to go inside, take a seat, and participate in his set.
You know, his conviction in who he is as a person.
He's a joy to watch when he's feeling it. When Casey's vibing, you see that smell?
Creative energy he brought to the stage was always interesting. A lot of comedians are very funny, but not all of them are always interesting. He was very rarely funny, but he often was interesting. And I thought once he figured out how to be funny, it would be great.
You know, I can say pretty much whatever I want around him. You know, he's one of those people that, like, I'm not going to get in trouble, you know, because with comedians these days, you know, there's this feeling of like, you know, you're walking into a minefield when you have pretty much any kind of conversation where you're being yourself. So I feel like with that, I don't have to. That's why I like him. That's why I'm friends with him.
Casey was really ridden hard and put away wet, and nobody really knows what his life was like before he did comedy.
When you say you don't know anything about my life, maybe in the 4 years we know each other, maybe just once go, hey, what happened in your life? Like normal people just go, no, where did it happen in your life? Like normal friends, like they just ask people, so where are you from? Like what was your childhood like?
You telling me I should ask you?
So I mean, if you're curious, you said you were curious.
Well, you know, he cuts through the bullshit, and a lot of people are, you know, afraid to do that.
Oh, why did you get banned from Northwest Comedy? I'll tell you why. Got banned from Northwest Comedy because he made a funny joke about having a 13-year-old girlfriend, and then a bunch of comics said, we don't say that kind of thing around here. If you come around here, we're gonna commit violence on you. And then he said, I'll defend myself. And then the producers went, defend yourself? That guy's a menace. So that's why he got banned. He got banned because he was threatened. That's why. That's the reason. He told a joke, was threatened, and said he would defend himself. That's why he was banned. Because he's banned because he doesn't have the proper political views. He doesn't understand that there's things you can joke about and there's things you can't. He got banned for being a comic, for being an actual comedian. So that's why he got banned, for saying a funny thing. And they didn't understand it.
I didn't know that he was going through that much shit, so to see him go on stage, I just wish that he would have brought more of his life into it, because that would have been a wonder to fucking see. That would have been a wonder. I think that was like the missing piece. So he was almost, I say he was almost to that point, to where he was almost about to find that missing key of just.
Jake, a while back, came up to me and he's real enthusiastic, you know? He was like, hey Casey, man, have you seen the show To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen? You know, like it's a brand new show.
Warriors at the table!
And I was like, yeah, I saw it 23 years ago when it came out. I watched it like 1.5 times. I hated it. It was a really bad show. Very sad and depressing. Why'd you hate it? And I was like, well, I think you should catch child predators, but I don't think it should be fun. You know what I mean? I was thinking, why doesn't Chris Hansen get tired of catching child predators? Doesn't he ever want to catch like a different type of bad person? You know, like catch a hack comedian? You know? So like Bruce here, for instance, you know, as an example, you know, and he comes to an open mic, you know, and there's nobody there, you know, and he's like, where's everybody at? It's weird. And then Chris Hansen comes from behind the curtain. You know, he's like, what are you doing here, Bruce? Are you here to meet a 15-year-old lady for sex? And you're like, no, I'm just here to tell jokes. And then Chris Hansen's like, oh shit, it's worse than I thought. Because Bruce's comedy is worse than child molestation.
It's funny because it's true.
Dostoevsky. I actually read like 12 pages of it. The quote is, the man who lies to himself can be more easily offended than any other man. Anyway, that really pissed me off. You know?
Someone at an open mic once said, called me a charlatan. You know? And I was like, don't call me a fucking charlatan. Then I have to go fucking look up charlatan. You know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. And they're like, oh shit, I guess I am a charlatan. Alright. A charlatan is anyone who's holding a mic speaking to people. So
definitely had a voice that he was, you know, not afraid to share his opinions, which is a very admirable quality that a lot of people don't have. And he never truly didn't care what people thought about him.
Just because you're crazy doesn't mean you're not smart, I guess. You know, you can be. But I think intelligence in the hands of a crazy person isn't nearly as effective for an all-around human being.
The moral of this story is that when a videographer offers to record your performance, say, yes'm, please, thank you, sir. You never know. They may turn out to be your David Jandro. If they're any good, they will show you how you appear and sound from the perspective of a common audience member. Who knows, they may inspire you to cut your losses and get out while the getting's good. Or you may take the next step and lean in and improve upon yourself. I've seen it go both ways. Either way, you don't want to stagnate from leaning on the same bland routine for consecutive years to the point that you become known as that crow guy.
Bruce, what is that fucking device you have?
Camera.
You're fucking filming this? What the fuck is wrong with you? It's right about everything. You're out of control. You're out of control. You better edit the shit out of this. I want this edited, like, just press delete, actually. That's the kind of edit I want for this set. Just one button. Easy, just delete.
everywhere I go. Stop that shit. Out there through his eyes, staring at me like a generic open mic.
Fucking dickheads, appreciate your freedom. I am from Michigan. The water is bad. You get to smoke weed outside. Bunch of bougie vegan bitches. I'm tired of this shit, Washington. All right? You don't even appreciate shit. Y'all were the first ones to get COVID. Y'all was the first ones to get the stimulus checks. Y'all never appreciate any fucking thing. I gotta admit though, y'all got a lot of big booty white women. Y'all can't be bougie. Okay?
This one dog that I walk every day, his name's Duke. He's 100 pounds, which means he's a double bagger, if you know what I mean. And every day, and he's got this problem where he like gets into the cat food. So like, you know, sometimes it comes out a little runny, and the only way I can really pick it up is to sort of like mush it along the ground and kind of scoop it up in this thin plastic bag that doesn't hide the smell or the warm sensation of a turd in your hand. I always think to myself, wow, this white privilege thing is really working out for me.
Cultural appropriation has just been the combining of cultures, which has been going on since the beginning of time. We've always done it. We've always stolen from each other. That's actually what cultures are. They're always a combination. It's always a mixture. It's never, there's no pure culture. It doesn't exist. Anyway, it's not funny.
I don't know. But I kind of do know, but I don't. You know, there's only so much, there's 24 hours in a day. And I think we've all been experiencing that lately. Because you wake up and then you go to sleep, and sometimes you take naps, and sometimes you eat, and you look in the mirror, unless you don't have mirrors. But there's, you know, people who don't have mirrors don't know what they look like usually, unless they look into water because of reflection. You know, there's reflection. There's reflection in reflection. There's reflection in reflection. Starting to get triggered up here. I've never performed in a park this dark before. Usually when it's this dark and a light shining on me like this, I'm walking a line and saying my ABCs backwards, but...
Let's do a little role play. I'm the two-party system. And you're the American people. And I'm fucking you financially. But don't worry. I'm going to take good care of you. I'm going to supply you with food stamps and welfare, baby. Oh, yeah.
So you see, I don't believe that voting for a new president is going to make a difference.
The guy that took all of your money also doubles as a mediocre comedian. Wonderful to be up here. Fun fact about me, you, like many people in my life, when they see me by the door, they actually think I'm a door person. So why I want to lose weight, it gets really annoying when people just show you their ID and hand you money. Gets on my goddamn nerves. Fun thing about that though, since you guys assume that I'm a door person everywhere I go, at a bar, at a comedy club, and things like that, I just take, you know, money from you guys. And yeah, this show's actually free, I just robbed you all. Now I know some of you are a little bit upset. You're like, oh my goodness, why'd you take this money? Well, there's mostly white people in here, so we're just gonna call it reparations. So we're even. Oh.
This is art right now, what we're doing right here. These jokes, this is you're patronizing us. Thank you for patronizing me as I tell you. These jokes are like my children. Disappointing. I forget them a lot. And my dad doesn't like them because he doesn't think they're mine.
This final poem is about walking 6 feet apart for the first time in the park. Cumulus rolls in bulk. Bittersweet calamity embroils us. Who are we? Two spirits issued forth on the threshold of the park, side by side but never brushing, except to tap elbows in culinary fashion. Hands clean, spirits high on the tide of each other's company, the precipice of the solitary state. Joined, no inclination of what highs and lows the future holds. Just another's presence is enough to refresh the soul, In this time of clinging to the bittersweet fragility of these sticky web days, the fitting of our 8 legs.
I'm glad everybody came out. Shout out to the pizza. Sid, we got some weed to smoke. Let's go ahead and erase all of this footage. All right, good. Yeah. Yeah. Someone dropped their phone.
Probably. Yeah. Who needs light? Hey, Alex, where you going? It's not my show. No! It's nobody's show, man. I'm just the camera guy. I thought everyone's taking my show because everyone just... I'm gonna put the stuff.
Mine lasted like 10
Yeah!
It wasn't in the set that I wrote.